To another episode of PCPARTPICKER. This list right over here is going to be the maximum upgradability PC. So basically, let's just get into it instead, and I'll explain it as I go. So on the, all right. So starting off with the CPU, that's the first one on the list. Um, the Ryzen 3 3200G, you could go cheaper. You could get the Ryzen 3 2200G. It'd probably save you more money. By the way, all these parts are brand new, so you can always go cheaper. I'd like to buy used. I don't see nothing wrong with used as long as it works. And so this to me is kind of even too much money, but 80 bucks, 79.98 on Amazon.com with a CPU cooler, and you can always get a better cooler down the line when you change the CPU. This is the maximum upgradability PC. So basically, I wanted to go with the next part right here. What else do I got to say about this? Oh yeah, it's a G, so that means it's got integrated graphics. 4 cores, 4 threads, 3.6 gigahertz, 4 gigahertz boost clock. Um, it's got a couple megabytes of cache. Lithography 12 millimeters, the nanometers. On the AM5 sockets, CPUs, I believe they're 4 nanometers. So they're getting smaller over time, obviously. But alright. Well, maybe you didn't know that. So getting to the next part over here. This is the part that I plan on adding to the computer that if you're gonna make it a maximum upgradability PC, you might as well put in a halfway decent motherboard. That way you don't have to go through the huge debacle of unscrewing it, unplugging every damn thing in the universe in the damn computer. So I wanted to go with something cheap. This is basically the cheapest AM4 motherboard out there that actually gave you a little bit. So it's got 4 DIMM slots, 4 RAM slots. It's an AM4 socket, of course, because we're using an AM4 CPU. Micro ATX, so that means it's the second largest size out of the 3. There's mini ATX, there's micro ATX, and then there's ATX size. So that means we're gonna have to put it into a micro ATX case or an ATX case, or so that way it fits in there. Mini ATX wouldn't work, too small. Its chipset is B450. Oh, it's got a memory capacity of 128 gigabytes. Why don't you see how much memory I put into this damn thing too? I wanted to make it cheap, so it's got 4 RAM slots. You can always, well, all right. 1 PCI 16 slot, 2 PCI 1X slots. So it's got 3 slots in total. It's got 1 M.2 slot. Basically, RAID support. All right. Oh, and the other great thing that I wanted to mention about this, because the CPU it says it wouldn't work in this computer right out of the box. So it's got this great button right here, BIOS flashback button. Now I've never done this before, but I looked up a tutorial and it's basically pretty similar to creating a Windows boot drive. And then you plug it into one of these USBs. I'm not sure if it matters. I saw other motherboards where it had a dedicated BIOS flashback USB to put in your USB with the file to make the give the BIOS a newer version, of course. So I'm not too sure about that, but it does have the BIOS button, so I know it works. So this is a great value right here. Not only that, but it also has 3 connections for display, which most likely you're going to be using this one, HDMI. You're only going to be able to have 1 monitor with this computer because it doesn't have a I'm not adding a graphics card, a little spoiler right there. But PS2, that's really nice. I'm using a PS2 keyboard right now since my mechanical one decided to go to heaven. And oh yeah, so that's pretty good right there. I seen the other options at this price point have only 4 USBs. So that's pretty much the motherboard right there. Regular, just a pretty decent B450 cheap micro ATX motherboard. Right. Going to the next one. RAM. Cheapest of the cheap. I wanted to make it a little bit speedy, so I went with dual channel. I think that's what you should always go for no matter what. Dual channel if you can. And it's a very basic stick of G-Skill 4x2. 2400 megahertz. There really isn't much to talk about it. But what you're going to want to put these sticks into you know what? Basically, A1 and B1 slots. Alright. Storage. Oh, and another thing about this RAM, too, is the motherboard has 4 slots, so you can always add like a 32x2 or something afterward to it, to the computer, and it would work just fine with that. So that's the upgradability, and the CPU, same thing. You can always get if you feel like giving it a little bit of effort, you can always give this thing a way better CPU and a graphics card too. All right, storage. You're probably planning on changing this one out. Oh yeah, and before I forget, the CPU goes for $80. The motherboard goes for $80 too, I believe. The memory goes for $24.49. Actually, I'll just double check how much the motherboard goes for. Yeah, $80. $80 for the motherboard. Yeah, the motherboards aren't very cheap. Hard drive. The RAM is actually the cheapest part in the whole computer, but the storage. This is the cheapest on PCPARTPICKER. You can get it way cheaper. These hard drives go for $10 used in places for 1 terabyte. But on PCPARTPICKER, they're showing them for $30, 7,200 RPM. Regular SATA, 1 terabyte. Hitachi hard drive. You're gonna wanna either what you could do with this motherboard is you could plug in a blank M.2 SSD into the slot, keep the hard drive in there, put another hard drive or an SSD, boot from there, and then use a program and clone what you have on the original Hitachi onto the M.2 SSD. That's an idea if you got the technical skill. Easier said than done, right? Yeah, I know. Alright, so next part, micro ATX case, because it's a micro ATX motherboard. They actually went down in price on PCPARTPICKER last time I made a list. Well, actually, then again, I was searching for ATX cases before, but still, these are very identical. And this one, I picked the cheapest one on the entire website, $28.40 from Amazon.com. That's pretty darn cheap. Granted, about 10 years ago, I was buying aluminum cases without a window or nothing like that. Nothing, just regular aluminum box cases, and they were, that was $30 alone with, just that. Now they're making a much more higher quality these days. So that's 2840 right there. And then the last part, power supply. 550 watt, 80 plus bronze certified ATX power supply. It's got 5 SATAs on it. 80 plus bronze certified. Let's see what else. 2 6x2 pin connectors. That way you can power some really powerful graphics cards, really power hungry graphics cards, that is. 2 Molex 4-pin connectors. Alright. So there you have it, and let me show you the total. And by the way, that compatibility button, that's what the BIOS flashback button. That's what you would have to utilize, I guess, to get this CPU working and this motherboard out of the box. But the total price of all these parts, brand spanking new, $293. All right. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. That's I'll make another list next month in February. That was the maximum upgradability PC. Alright. Take care, have a good one, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care and goodbye.